is LBC from Global, leading Britain's conversation with Nick Abbott.
You're joking. Well, let's get back to it.
Texts and tweets and such from last night. Spence texts, Nick, the nights are drawing in. The country is in a right old state. We're on the cusp of a brutal election campaign. What the world needs now is me to do Strictly Come Dancing. Give the people what they want and shake your tail feather, Mr. A. I absolutely will not do anything of the sort, and nor would they want me to. I haven't seen a single solitary second of that programme, but it doesn't prevent me from having a strong opinion.
No.
It's a no from me. Abby texts, listening back to Sunak's responses to Tom, he sounded like he was reading from a manual. Or is it me? No, Abby, it's not you. It's quite funny. I mean, I've seen Fishy Sunak interviewed by a lot of people, but when he was interviewed by our own Tom Swarbrick, his, I don't know, his facade seemed to crumble right there in front of our eyeballs. He just fell apart. And he tried to do his usual thing of just repeating the same lies over and over and over and over and over and over and over again, and then talk about something that was completely unrelated to the question. But Tom kept bringing him back to it. And it was the collapse of Fishy Sunak right there on screen. Excellent work, Tom. Elaine texts, before Cruella launched the guide dog's, crunched the guide dog's tail, Rishi himself was pictured crouched down and making a fuss of the dog. I don't know everything, but I'm pretty certain that you're not supposed to touch guide dogs as they're working dogs, says Elaine. Unwanted attention, that is. Bloomin' tragic, she says. I bet Rishi Sunak was just trying to establish whether its owner was a Labour supporter or a Conservative supporter. Bark twice if he's a Labour supporter. And then he gave Suella the nod, and she came over and stamped on a guide dog. Can you believe that? While punching a blind man in the face. Ed texts, 15-minute cities are what every city, town, estate and village once were as recently as the 1970s. Local amenities rather than a hypermarket with a car park 4 times the size that you can't walk to. Yes! Correct, Amundo. I mean, that is a conspiracy theory a little bit too far. I mean, you'd have to be some sort of twisted, I don't know, what's a polite way of saying nut? You'd have to resemble a bag of monkey nuts.
A big sack of monkey nuts.
To believe that conspiracy theory nonsense about 15-minute cities. And that's what the Tories are peddling now. They've gone full... Basically, anything that Donald Trump does is okay by them.
I love the poorly educated.
That's the demographic they're going for. Yeah, that's what the council is going to do. They're going to police your abode and make sure you don't go to the shops more than the prescribed number of times. Because that sounds logical. Yeah, that's what 15-minute cities are all about. 15-minute cities are villages. Old people love villages. I thought Tories loved villages. But now, apparently, they're woke. So they've got to go. Just think of who benefits from all of these policies that they keep espousing, all of these conspiracy theories that they keep coming up with, all of this, basically every policy that they put forward. Who benefits? Just think of where the money goes. And most often, it seems to me that the people that benefit the most are those that provide hot, fresh oil and petrol to squirt up your car. Seems to me the ones that benefit the most. Unless I'm getting this wrong, in which case you must correct me. Ed texts, if the Tories are truly going to deport prisoners, could you give me a few tips on how I might become incarcerated? Rwanda or Australia is becoming increasingly attractive, says Ed. Well, I've heard wonderful things about both. I mean, if I had to pick, I'd go to the one with smaller spiders. I don't know which one that is. I've got no information about Rwanda other than a football team advertises it as an excellent holiday destination. On the other hand, it's being used as a punishment by the government. So it's a bit difficult. I'm confused about the Rwanda issue. What is it, a punishment or a holiday destination? Paul texts, And by the way, if it is so great, as Cruella Braverman continues to assert, then how come she is using it as a punishment? Why is it a deterrent if it's actually somewhere where people would pay to go on holiday? That makes no sense to me. But, nothing does these days. Texts and tweets and such from last night. Paul texts, Richie Integrity Sunaker speech, cancelling HS2 and fixing potholes and smoking, etc., but nothing on the housing crisis, the NHS crisis, the social care crisis, the productivity crisis, the poor business investment, the growth crisis, fixing sewage crisis, etc., and so on. Nothing about those priorities.
It's the country's number one priority.
It isn't, Fishy. It just isn't. Whatever it is you just said. In fact, keep that in mind. Whatever it is you just said, regardless of what the topic at hand is not true. Including this part.
This government will have integrity, professionalism and accountability.
Yeah, at every level, sure. Jennifer texts, Jennifer, I live in a village and it takes me 5 minutes to get to the shop, the pub or the church. However, it still takes 2 months to get to the GP. That's right. Yeah, that's right. What's he doing about that? Well, I'll tell you what he's doing about that. Not necessarily the GP, but the doctors. Have you heard the latest? Good grief, I can't believe it. I'll come to that in a while. You'll be, stunned. Alex says, still tweets and texts and such from last night. Not too many to go. I was very good last night. I wiped up almost all of them. Alex says, did you hear that the Sun this week condemned public transport and even walking as woke? Did they? Walking, eh?
Bill!
Yeah, no one does that anymore. They just want to make you angry about something. It really doesn't matter what it is. And just lately, they seem to have discovered the car, Tories, because they unexpectedly managed to hang on to Mr. Blobby's seat.
Yeah. Wait a minute.
Let me rephrase that. Even Carrie doesn't want to hang on to Mr. Blobby's seat. But they managed to hang on to Uxbridge, much to their surprise, and the inference was that it was something to do with cars, the ULEZ, people moaning and whinging and whining, like that. Spit the dummy they did. And now we're all about the cars, as though people in cars don't become pedestrians the moment they exit their cars, like they're a separate race, a different species. Oh, my God, I tried to drive home at 20 miles an hour last night. Was that easy? No. I mean, the driving at 20 miles an hour was a piece of cake. It's the morons behind me that stressed me out. And it was just a parade. As one turned off the road to go somewhere else at maximum velocity, someone else took their place, driving so close behind me that you couldn't see their headlights in the rearview mirror, which means they were practically touching me as we were going down the road, as though that was going to make things go faster, as though I was going to get the message somehow that driving 20 mile an hour in a 20 zone was the actions of a moron. And I was going to speed up because, they have a very busy schedule at 1 o'clock in the blooming morning, and they have to get home and watch a lot of important television. And it literally gives me a pain in the neck because I'm hunched over the wheel now in a stress position with my head involuntarily pushed forward away from where they are. And so my entire head with my huge brain is cantilevered now over the front of my body. And I have a pain in my neck now. But you know me, I don't really like to complain.
Stop whining.
It was excruciating. Now, there was a lot of the journey that I normally take that used to be 30, and I think it's overnight now gone down to 20. And it is a piece of cake driving at 20 mile an hour. I've got a 12-year-old car, and it's got cruise control. Not adaptive cruise control, nothing of that fancy, but you just hit a speed and it stays there. And you just hit a speed, hit 20 mile an hour, and at the time of night that I'm driving, piece of cake. You just glide home. And you know how much later I was doing 20 than occasionally bursting up to 30? 0 minutes. I arrived home at the exact same time. And if it hadn't been for the morons behind me, I would have arrived home much, much calmer and serene. But unfortunately, you know, the people who spit the dummy every time they're told to, basically, the government is just trying to make you randomly angry. It doesn't really matter what about. They'll just go down the list. The boat people. Benefits people. Single mothers. It doesn't really matter what. They just throw this this stuff at the wall and see what sticks. And apparently now people are furious. But, you know, every other story in the Daily Mail starts with the words fury as. Fury as people are asked to drive in the middle of town at 20 mile an hour. I mean, for crying out loud, most of the time during the day you can't even get to 20 mile an hour, let alone are restricted to 20. Get angry about that, why don't you? It is painful. And it works for them. Generally, I mean, people, I think, the country has got wise, or maybe it's not wise. Maybe it's just that those tricks don't work, given this wall of evidence that the people who are running the country aren't doing so for the benefit of the people. They're doing so for the benefit of the people that are running the country, and it's very hard to ignore that after 13 years of it. So I think that this angry thing, it does generally work, and if they hadn't got so many people so blooming angry, the polling would be even worse for them than it actually is. And it is abysmal. I have detailed files. There's a lot of people going to be very, very upset. They're going to be looking for new employment after the next general election. A lot of Tories going to be looking for new employment after the next general election. Isn't that sad?
No.
Nick Abbot on LBC. Call 0345 6060 973.
Right, so what are we doing?
Given we are doing a radio show, it does remind me that I do a podcast with Carol McGiffin, and we just recorded an episode today.
Oh, right, yeah.
I think you'll find it highly amusing.
Oh, right, yeah.
And it comes out on Monday. It's the idea is that we try to solve people's problems and not laugh too much while we're doing it. And we fail most of the time on the first one and almost all of the time on the second. If you wish to be amused and you have an hour spare, then I think you'll love it. It's called, what's it called? What's your problem with Nick and Carol? Yeah, that's right. Stupid. Trying to advertise it and you forgot what it's blooming well called, you idiot. What's your problem with Nick and Carol? If you want us to have a bash at your issue, then you must send it to the following address. nickandcarol@global.com. NICKANDCAROL @global.com. But you must prepare to be totally satisfied. Ask for it by name. On an internet near you, what's your problem with Nick and Carol? Let's have Bister. Hello, Phil. Phil?
Hello.
Yes, Phil.
Can you hear me?
No.
Oh, you can. It's amazing.
It sounds like you're talking from the bottom of a well, Phil.
Oh, is that better?
No.
Oh, hang on. Yeah. What about that?
No, same.
Oh.
Can you
Anyway,
can you walk into the same room that the phone is in? Would be a good idea.
Hey. Cool down, I'm blind, I can't see.
Right, well, you know where the phone is. Yeah, because you dialed the number. Right. So get closer to the phone.
Oh. Look, a quick one. I wanted news about...
Go on.
I wanted news about the tree.
You want news about the tree?
You know, the one that was cut down at Adrian's Wall?
Oh, yeah.
They've arrested Kevin Costner.
Kevin Costner.
Yeah.
Right, the actor. Kevin Costner.
yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Because that tree was nominated for Best Actor.
It's a listener with material.
Oh, no.
Thanks a lot, Phil, for, whatever that was. Sue texts, the property that was bought just before the announcement was finalised after Sunak had written his speech. He was talking about HS2, Sue. This is HS2 Sue, who texts, the property that was bought, I think it was a £1.5 million property that Sue is referring to. The £1.5 million property that was bought just before the announcement was finalised. Bought by us poor dopes who pay taxes, The
little people.
That's right, not leprechauns. Sue texts, the property that was bought just before the announcement was finalised after Sunak had written his speech but was still denying a decision has been made. Dodgy or what? Well, if those are the options, Sue, I'm going with dodgy. She says all property compulsorily purchased should be offered back to the original owners at the purchase price with compensation for any out-of-pocket expenses and or lost revenue. Well, that kind of talk will get you waken up chained to a bed in Rwanda, Sue. That sounds like enemy of the people talk to me. I expect that all of the property that was purchased for hundreds of millions of pounds of taxpayers' money will be offered to a friend of the regime who just happens to be a developer for 1 penny. There or thereabouts. Anybody want to take a bet? 0345 6060 973. Norfolk. Hello, Lynn.
Oh, hello, Nick. How you doing?
I am great, mate.
Good. I want to talk to you about Rishi Sunak and him not making his WhatsApps a priority. A few days ago, it found that he couldn't find them because he wasn't backing up his phone.
Yeah. Another one of those. Same thing that affected Bodger Johnson.
Yeah. Wait.
Yeah, Mr. Blobby accidentally lost his phone as well. Yeah, inadvertently lost his phone. Isn't that sad?
That's the truth, the imperial bodgeness, but he said he couldn't remember the password.
Yeah.
Now, I've worked out what his password is, right?
Yes.
And also, probably what Rishi's password is.
Give me the money.
No, Peppa Pig.
Peppa Pig. Well, that's a good idea.
Peppa Pig World. Peppa Pig World is it has
yes.
Peppa Pig.
Peppa Pig is the right answer. Well done, Bodge. Good boy.
Yeah, that was it, really. I just thought you'd find it amusing because you're always doing a bit of a Nicky takes your...
Who, me? No, this is a very serious programme, Lynn, and you know it. All right. Cheers, my dear. I'll look into it. Yeah, isn't that sad? They people who run this country do so on their mobile phones, and when asked to present evidence into an investigation into potential wrongdoing, they accidentally lose their phone. Who could have predicted that? Great news, though, Fishy. You can actually get your WhatsApp messages back on a new phone by following a simple procedure. Did you know that? Yeah, I looked it up on the World Wide Web. I actually did homework. Can you believe that?
No.
Yeah. If you get a new phone, you don't have to have updated your or saved your WhatsApp messages on your old phone. You can simply get your new phone to pull them out of the cloud. Or pull them out of your ear or, wherever else you might keep them. No problem at all, Fishy. I mean, come on. This is just gaslighting on steroids at this point, isn't it? Oh, I'm sorry, officer, I just lost my phone. All of the evidence that you were looking for was on a phone. Yeah, I accidentally lost it. Where did Rishi Sunak lose his phone, for crying out loud? Well, a disco. He was dancing so vigorously that it fell out of his pocket. And people say... the authorities say, oh, well, yeah, that sounds believable. Yeah, nothing we can do. Nothing we can do. Move along or I'll arrest you. What a way to run a country, eh?
Dreadful.
Brad texts, a friend of mine went to Oxford last year to protest against the city's plan to put down some bus lanes, foolishly described by the council as the beginning of a 15-minute city plan. He went on foot, which I thought was ridiculous if your passion is driving. Do you mean to tell me... you gathered in a safe pedestrian space away from cars to protest about the right to drive in a city you don't even live in? Yeah, that's about right. Just people that have been persuaded to get randomly angry about it doesn't really matter. Doesn't really matter what it's about. Just get angry. Oh, it's all this woke this and liberal the other. Puh. Enemies of the people, the lot of them. String them up. Said the deputy leader of the Conservative Party. Death's too good for them. Andrew texts, an age-related ban on tobacco sales. It'll be great for pensioners who will be the only folk able to buy tobacco and can deal it to younger folk in order to top up their diminishing state pension. Well, that's just a good idea. That's the entrepreneurial spirit there, Andrew. Excellent idea. 0345 6060 973. Chingford. Hello, John.
Oh, hi, Nick.
John.
Yeah, I just quite amazed at all the flack you're getting from the anti-ULEZ 20-mile-an-hour brigade. I mean, I listened last Sunday, and there was like an avalanche of them. I think a couple filtered through last night.
Yeah, I would call it a hurricane.
Sorry.
Go ahead.
You say you don't do homework, but you always have tremendous evidence that kind of stymies them, which is very impressive.
Oh, well, I'm not. That's just a complete accident.
Yeah, no, it's amazing. I mean, on your normal shows as Sunday, there was just an avalanche of them, and you don't normally get these nut jobs on your abnormal show or sort of.
Well, I think you do. It's just that they fit in more. They don't stand out as much, John. I think that's probably what it is. But I appreciate the unsolicited testimonial.
Thank you.
Ollie texts, why are people complaining about HS2? We don't want their continental ideas. We have the British way. I think we should go back to hitching a lift. Nobody does that anymore. You could barely drive onto a motorway in the 1970s without running over somebody with a sign that said Birmingham. Could you? I hitched my way around America in the late 70s, early 80s, with a sign that said British, because I thought that would make it more liable that they would actually stop. And one did and said, well, I don't know where British is, but I'm going up the road away. That's any help. Santex, do you know where I can buy Nadine Dorris' new book? I've got a table with a wobbly leg and I need to put something under it. Well, that's just rude. Normally, I don't like rude on this programme, but in that case, I'm going to make an exception. Alex says, I have a very, very strict policy about rudeness. Alex texts, I've heard that 7 silly bins...
The requirement to have 7 bins gone, Mr. Speaker.
That bloke's the Prime Minister of this country. Can you believe that?
No.
Alex texts, I've heard that 7 silly bins is going to make it his priority to deport that poor guide dog to Rwanda. Is this true? Also, when Penny Mussolini referenced fighting fascists and Nazis, the camera panned immediately to Suella. I don't think that's a coincidence. Yeah, I spotted that too. That was funny. I mean, you know, in amongst the horror. Name that film. In amongst the horror. That was laugh out loud funny. Are there any Nazis in the audience? Show of hands. So we got Labour's thing this coming week.
Boring.
Well, I mean, I'm kind of interested in what they're going to say. Probably be more interested in what they don't say. I don't know what Starmer's speech is going to be. You're probably just to stand there for an hour and a half saying nothing. I agree with Rishi Sunak, will be the message on the lectern that he's standing behind. Their slogan, though, is the worst political slogan of all time. Name me a worse political slogan than the Labour Party have chosen for their upcoming conference. I mean, good grief. Are you kidding me? Let's get the future of our country back. That's it, isn't it? Is that it, word for word?
I'm just looking up the
he's just looking it up. He's doing homework himself. He wasn't expecting to have to do this. He just lurched awake. Wake up! Trying to do a show here. Let's get the future of our country back, or something ridiculous like that. And I hate to repeat myself, but I do repeat myself a lot. So I'm going to repeat what I said last night. That's their slogan, let's get the future of our country back. I mean, my mind's spinning, just trying to figure out where we are in time between the beginning and the end of that sentence. Let's get Britain's future back. That's what it is. He's just looked it up. It sounds like they're going to the conference in a DeLorean.
Nick Abbott on LBC. Call 0345 6060 973.
What are you talking about?
Oliver texts, the Tories are turning things around and you don't like it. I can't wait to hear your show after they win the next general election. I'll get the popcorn ready. Oh, and Sir Mogg for PM. Yeah, because he knows a thing or two.
You're better informed than I am. I don't know anything.
The Tories are turning things around. I heard Rishi Sunak turned his private jet around because he forgot his hair oil in Manchester.
You don't need to put all of that product in your hair. You just don't.
You just don't. Sam says, when Fishy gets the boot from being PM, I've got a job for him, reading kids' bedtime stories for audiobooks, as that's exactly how he speaks to us now. Like we're 4 years old. Yeah, I want to see him wear a dress while he's doing it. Merthyr Tydfil. Hello, Jeff.
Oh, I forgot I was waiting then. Look, hey, Nick.
Yes.
It all started in Wales, didn't it? The 20 miles an hour job.
No, it
Remember?
didn't. It didn't. It did not start in Wales.
Well, the furor started in Wales.
Oh, right, yes.
Drakeford said, the guy with the season ticket at Greg's, the apoplectic conservative leader, said that this is got to be stopped. We've got to stop all this, and it all mushroomed from there. And here they are. And last week they were on some intellectuals in North Wales went on a dual carriageway and went along it, blocking it.
Oh yeah,
at 30 to 40 miles an hour.
Right.
Now that's brilliant.
Yeah, they drove slowly in order to protest about driving slowly. Yeah.
Yeah, that was just, and now they've hired a van with an advertisement on the side. You know, we've got to stop this 20 mile an hour thing. We've got to be allowed to drive, and they're going around Wales. I don't know how much this is costing, and everywhere they go, they park on the pavement. So they go on Twitter. They go on Twitter, and they photograph themselves on the pavement,
breaking the law,
with a gang of about 7 or 8 local Conservative Party members protesting about the 20 mile an hour thing. Then they get down to the Senedd in Cardiff, and they end up, must be about 70 or 80 people, massive demonstration. I mean, it's talk about blowing something up out of
nothing
all proportion.
At all. Yeah.
And just to make a wedge. Anyway,
it's just to get people angry. I mean, so what you drive at 20 mile an hour? It's not going to affect the time at which you arrive at your destination. 70% of journeys are 5 miles and under. I'll say it again, if you drive 5 miles at 30 mile an hour, it takes 10 minutes to get there. If you drive 5 miles at 20 mile an hour, it takes 15 minutes to get there. Who can't spare 5 blooming minutes? How important are you?
Well, I drive out of here, okay? 20 miles an hour in the built-up area.
Yeah.
Within 200 or 300 yards, I'm in a 30 mile an hour later.
Right.
I move. In the next minute, I'm in a 60 mile an hour. Then get onto the motorway, I'm 70 miles an hour.
Yeah.
Where's this blanket? What on earth are they talking about?
I don't know. They're just trying to get people furious because that's all that they can. That's all they can use to recommend themselves to the public now. I mean, they can't go to the public on any of their achievements. So they just have to get people angry at it doesn't really matter what. And what they've chosen at the moment is the war on cars. But if there is a war on cars, correct me if I'm wrong, but haven't the Tories been in power for the last 13 years? So aren't they the ones that are prosecuting this war?
Exactly. And before you throw me off, I went for a pint in the Goose and Cuckoo, and do you know what the landlady, who I'm sorry to say has never heard of you, Nick, and has never heard this programme, but she said, every time she took an order, she said, okie dokie.
Okie dokie.
Exactly like that.
Right.
And I couldn't believe it.
The Goose and Cuckoo, eh?
Yeah.
Huh.
It was hilarious.
All right, well, I'll see you at the bar, Jeff. Thanks a lot, mate. It's definitely your round. 0345 6060 973. I've forgotten my wallet. I've lost it. You know, like Rishi Sunak lost his phone. Just accidentally lost it. Steph texts, just a thought, do you have the ability to play your sounds at a different speed or pitch? If sped up by a factor of 2, it would enable you more time to, well, what would you do with the extra time? Says Steph. Steph, you're blowing my mind. Mike texts, hi Nick, I'm really annoyed with Sunak, also known as the man from Ankle. I like it. The man from Ankle. Because of his trousers, Natch. He says, I'm really annoyed with Sunak for claiming the best tax cut he can give us is to halve inflation. Surely inflation isn't even a tax, and if he did manage to halve it, prices would still rise, though not as fast or as high. Yeah, he claims it would put extra money in our pockets. This from a guy who was once the Chancellor, for heaven's sake. What a joke. Yeah. Either he is too stupid to be left in charge of running a bath, never mind about a country, or he thinks you're stupid enough to buy this nonsense. First of all, he has no control over inflation. Zero. The only institution that has control over inflation is the Bank of England, which is independent of him and the regime. And all they can do is raise interest rates. That's pretty much all they've got. So inflation is up or down depending on mostly what's happening in the world and particularly what's happening in this country, but that has precious little to do with the day-to-day decisions of the Prime Minister. Now, we have a worse level of inflation in this country than almost any other country in the world. I think ours is the 3rd or 4th highest on earth, if you can believe that. That's actually true. I looked that up. We have the worst in Western Europe, easily. But the 4th worst on earth, inflation. So if he could actually do something about it, then why hasn't he done something already? If he could do something about lowering it, does that not mean that he has responsibility for raising it? And if that's the case, then he should be out on his massive ear now. And if the actual Chancellor, Wide Eyes himself, actually said this as well. They all think that we're dumb as rocks. They can just come out and spray this stuff at us and we'll lap it up like it's nectar. That if they bring down inflation, that means that prices will come down. No, of course it won't. It means that prices will continue to go up, but just not as fast. But they will, crucially, continue to go up from this new level. This new level, the prices in the shops now, this is the new normal. It will go up from here, but it's very unlikely it'll go down. Like, vanishingly unlikely. Because prices just don't really go down, do they? I mean, occasionally, shops will compete with each other, as supermarkets are doing now, and they will knock the price off a few things, a few essential items. As you go into the store, they'll have, the offers and all that to make it look as though your weekly shop will be much, much cheaper. But unless you restrict yourself to those items, it won't be, because they'll just make it back on the other stuff that they sell. You know, they'll have loss leaders like milk and bread and, you know, the stuff that people go in the store for. But you don't just buy milk and bread, do you? You buy all sorts of other stuff. I mean, you linger in the crisp aisle for about 20 blooming minutes trying to figure out which packet you want, don't you? Those prices aren't going down. So this is the new normal now. And if inflation just goes up a small amount, that's not anything to really celebrate, because it's going up a small amount on an already massively increased number. But they think that we're too stupid to figure that out. That's what's insulting to me. I mean, they're not too stupid to figure this out. Rishi Bloomin' Sunak's made hundreds of millions of pounds in the finance racket. He knows money. So does the Chancellor of the Exchequer. He knows money too. Bloomin' millionaire. They're not dumb enough to believe this nonsense, but they think we are. God, that's so insulting. I mean, it's actually infuriating. It is. Not that they're doing any of this to us, not that not the constant gaslighting, but just the assumption that we're too stupid to figure out that what they're telling us isn't true. Just the assumption that we don't know maths. Painful. It's actually giving me pain. But, you know, I'm not one to complain.
Whinging and whining and moaning. This is LBC with Nick Abbott. Call 0345 6060 973. Tweet at LBC. Text 84850.
What number are you calling from?
0345 6060 973. New York. Robert.
Nick,
Robert.
Glad you could get to me. Not sure how long I could last here, but ever since last night's speech, my interest in UK politics has been reinvigorated by Penny Mordaunt.
Oh, yeah. Penny Mordaunt reinvigorated your interest in British politics.
Yeah, I can agree with the caller from last night. Ever since she gripped the king's sword, I feel she is a will to power that Rishi Sunak just does not have.
Well, at least we can agree on that, yes. She's got oomph. She's got spunk.
But if that counts for charisma in the Conservative Party, I really I feel for them, because Boris just waits in the wings, and I can't believe that Rishi can get away with backstabbing and replacing him, and that just goes unchecked.
Unchecked?
Well, I just feel like Boris is probably the most popular politician in the country, no?
No, he was deeply unpopular almost the entire time he was in office, except for those people who really love him. Those people who looked at him with googly eyes. You know who I mean.
Yeah, it's just really hard to get my head around these things, because I'm wondering where all this goes. Where does Keir Starmer get to take the stage soon?
Yeah.
We haven't heard of much from him recently.
No, and isn't he? And not saying much seems to be really working for him.
I've never heard of an offense being played by the defense.
The defense, yeah. People in this country will have absolutely no idea what you're talking about, because you're talking about the wrong sort of football.
Sorry, sports analogies come too easily.
Yeah. Well, nobody's remotely interested in American football. We play soccer here, Robert. Catch up.
Yeah. It's a more respectable sport.
Which is? American football is more respectable. Oh, soccer.
No.
I don't know. I've tried to watch American football, and I just don't get its popularity. I just don't understand it. There's about 5 seconds.
You enjoy the commercials.
Yeah, exactly. It's as though it's been made for television, for commercial television, for not the TV part, but the commercial part. Because there's 5 seconds of action, and then they stand around and talk about it for 10 minutes.
It's awful, and it definitely has seeped into every aspect of our culture. I mean, the NFL is making more money this year than ever.
I bet.
And it's kind of sad.
American sport in general is just abysmal. Baseball is as bad as American football. And as for hockey, don't even get me started.
all of those sports, definitely, they have enough stop-and-go plays where you have to be in conversation with the person next to you or, spitting out sunflower seeds. It's not the type of sport where you are transfixed for over half an hour.
No, because those matches go on for 4 hours. I don't know how you can stand it.
There's a reason they have a 7th inning stretch where people literally have to stretch their legs so they don't get blood clots,
Right, yes. Yeah, okay, well, thanks for the update, Robert. Cheers, mate. 0345 6060 973. American sports. I just don't understand their popularity. I don't get it. Basketball. There's another one. Basketball.
Boring.
Just painful to watch. Other than that, I have the greatest respect. Martin says, I've elected to drive at 20 miles an hour in 30 mile an hour zones, and it's much safer, just as long as I don't look in my rearview mirror. Hanging my leg out of the window seems to make them back off. Yeah, try hanging it out your back window. That'll work. Just act crazier than they are. See, I wouldn't recommend driving at 20 in a 30 zone. Driving at 20 in a 20 zone is difficult enough, just because, morons. We're surrounded by morons. I suppose eventually they'll get used to it. I determinedly drive at 20 in a 20 zone. And I can see that there's trouble coming when, you see the lights in your rearview mirror and they're quite a way away, and then you look again after about a second and they're right up behind you. So they're used to doing 40, 50 mile, or, whatever they want. It's my right, I can do what I want. Those people. And I know there's going to be trouble. And then they start with the light flashing and the flashing and honking their horns, and then try to undertake you where there is no room to undertake. Like on a roundabout, for instance. And they just go berserk. Like babies. And then they call shows like this and complain and complain and complain.
Stop whining.
I mean, really? What difference does it make? Stop being so gullible. You are being manipulated. They're using your anger against you as a weapon. I suppose eventually they'll figure it out that 20 does actually mean that you drive at 20 mile an hour on a built-up road for the benefit of everybody. Because when people get out of their cars, they become pedestrians. And life is better if you're not living on a road where people charge down it at the kind of speed that would kill you if you made a slight accident. Because lives change in a millisecond, like that. You're not paying attention to what you're doing. You step out into the road, and because some moron is doing 40, you die. If they had been doing 20, you'd probably survive. But, you can't tell people because they're just so furious. It's painful. 0345 6060 973. Devon, hello, Rose.
Oh, Nick, hello.
Rose.
Well, I've not been sleeping lately, so I've been a bit crazed, and I'm wondering whether what I'm about to say... that's a sort of,
That's an excellent intro. Can't wait to hear what's coming next. Go on.
I'm now wondering whether what I want to say about the Sunak horror and everything is just so blindingly obvious it's not worth saying. But
right.
I just get this thing that is so bizarre. I mean, the media and everything has got to go through this fantasy or charade or whatever the word is of saying, well, what are you going to do if you get back into power and all this, treating them like proper people. And it's almost as if we're in one of those awful films where the mafia or something ghastly are the star, like The Godfather or something, where everyone else accepts that their lives are ruled over by these criminals. And nobody will say anything because it's too frightening, Yeah, that's a bit of an exaggeration.
Yeah, like the mafia.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah, because they are not serious. They're not a serious contender to govern a country in the first world. And I'm wondering whether this is the plan, that we've simply been turned into a third world country. How can you have a serious contender to govern a country which they have shown themselves to be of ill intent towards, not putting this very well, but
No, they see.
Certainly
I'll
not
sum it up.
well-intentioned.
I'll sum it up in using the phrases that that I've already used. The people that are running this country do not appear to be running the country for the benefit of the people. The people who are running this country appear to be running the country for the benefit of the people that are running this country.
Yeah, exactly. But they've just gone glaring examples, which there should be something in the Constitution that enables
Yes.
us to stop their progress to become the next government when they're actually embezzling billions of public funds. I mean,
There should be some sort of police investigation. How is there not a police investigation? Why is no one going to jail or to court at the very least?
And I mean, that's even without all the other things, like whooping it up in defiance of their own laws.
Yeah.
In the middle of a pandemic, while law-abiding people are leaving their relatives to die alone.
Business meetings.
It's all so
Yes.
utterly bizarre, and yet they're being treated like serious contenders to govern a country which they've clearly no intention of governing. I mean, I do wonder if we're actually deliberately being turned into a third world one. I don't know much about the so-called third world, but I believe a lot of these countries have wealth as of right to the rulers and very, very poor people below, and this is sort of seen as the normal way.
Well, we have something of the order of 4.5 million children that are living in poverty in this supposed first world country. We are supposedly the 5th or 6th richest country in the world, but we've got a lot of money here. It's just that it's not very much spread about. Where it's spread about more is in Scandinavian countries, and the result is that people are happier there. Here, people are, I don't know if you've noticed, Rose, but people are permanently furious about everything. And the reason that they're furious is because their lives are not being improved. They're working their butts off and they're not getting anywhere. They're just getting progressively poorer. Now, all this money that people are creating through their work, you'd think that they would benefit in some way, but they haven't. Not since the 1970s have wages actually increased materially for people who are creating the wealth. All of the money, all of the wealth that has been created has gone to the top 1%. Now, if you average out the amount of money that we make, then yes, we do make a lot of money. We are a rich country, but virtually none of us get to touch any of that cash.
And then we have to look at them standing there. Well, I haven't got telly, but the minute I hear Sunak or any of these people, the Chancellor, what I see is money. There's something absolutely obscene about seeing all these millionaires banging on righteously about how the country should be run, talking to people, masses and masses of whom now are in dire, dire poverty, largely as a result of their policies.
Well,
I mean, the
Rose,
obscenity is beyond belief.
Poor people had the option of being born to rich parents, but they failed to take that choice. They only have themselves to blame.
Yes. Can I just say something else? I really like Jeff of Merthyr Tydfil.
Oh, right. OK, well, I'll pass your number on. How does that sound?
Oh, well, I'll have your number, please.
I'm kidding. I'm kidding. All right, thanks a lot, Rose. Cheers, my dear.
Thanks, mate.
0345 6060 973. Text 84850. Email nick@lbc.co.uk. If you're on Twitter, it's @LBC. A couple of messages to go. I've got detailed files about the poll, by the way. It's a big poll that's just come out that predicts what's going to happen in the next general election. There's very interesting stuff there, and there's plenty else besides. Suresh texts, Nick, a lot of people are upset that HS2 is cancelled, but nobody talks about who benefits from HS2. Taxpayers are paying for it, but not the train companies. They would make a profit and give it to their shareholders. Some companies and people have made a lot of money from the HS2. That's right. As usual, follow the money.
On your radio, on Global Player, and
Play LBC.
leading Britain's conversation. This is LBC. This is LBC. LBC from Global, leading Britain's conversation with Nick Abbott.
And I can't stand it.
Yeah! Dude! Jim says, unless I am mistaken, you've got no cough, nor no sore throat, no ringing ears, no carpet cleaner-induced swoons. Enjoy it. You are 100% tip-top bionic Abbott, mostly, says Jim. Well, as a matter of fact, I do have a little bit of a cough. I do have some ringing in my ears, and I think I've lost a filling in one of my teeth. But you know me, I don't like to complain.
Whinging and whining and moaning.
Jill says, Rishi couldn't lose phone while dancing. His trousers are too small for it to fall out of his pocket. I'm surprised he can sit down. Let's have East Grinstead. Hello, Robert.
Hello. Hi, Nick. Thanks for taking my call.
Robert.
Hi. I'll just say, having come back from London late the other night, because the motorway was closed on the M25, I had to go through sort of Swanley, Orpington way.
They closed the M25?
They did, yeah.
Blimey.
I was just as I was getting near the turning just before Dartford South. Yeah, it was closed. And as a consequence, I had to drive for a huge amount of time at 20 miles an hour at night. And I can just say you are dangerous at those speeds. You can't. It's hard to concentrate.
Oh, come off it.
I'm not coming off it. You're not.
Well, what kind of roads were you driving down at 20 mile an hour?
A roads at night. And if you're doing that at any length of time at night, especially, and I think it's in the day it can be exhausting because cars are designed generally not to do that. And we don't want slower cars. We've all got quick metabolisms. And anyway, I'm going to get off that subject.
I've never heard such a load of old rubbish in my life. It's much more relaxing to drive at 20. You just have to accept that that's the speed you're going at and not chafe at that speed.
I box. I do lengths underwater. I'm fit.
What's that got to do with anything? Just drive more slowly and stop complaining.
Stop whining. We don't all drink real ale and do beekeeping, okay?
I'd have no idea what relevance that has to do in 20 mile an hour.
It means you're safer if you're doing.
No, you're not. You are absolutely not safer. All of the evidence points to the contrary. You are less safe the faster you drive.
Really?
Obviously.
I'm lying. You're welcome to torture me. I'll stick to what I was here to say. I'd say one thing that Rishi Sunak could do, which would be useful, which is a much smaller thing. We're all concerned about inflation and that getting out of control. There is one patriotically named gas company that has had reported faulty IT for a very, very long time. And
faulty IT? What does that mean?
Yes. So you're getting incorrect bills from their billing company. They're simply not correct. And some of us are lucky enough to have a paper trail, but that's exhausting.
Well, I've never heard that before. Where is the evidence?
It was reported by the BBC in February 2022, and I was lucky enough to have a paper trail. The Ombudsman ruled in my favour after 7 exhausting months.
All right.
Rishi should just mention that. Just say some of these energy companies, cost of living in inverted commas, just sort your IT and billing out. It's a mess.
Well, so you got a wrong bill. That doesn't mean to say that the company has a problem about billing people wrongly.
Thousands of people on their website page, all with the same problem.
Well, I have got no idea, but I have no truck with oil or gas companies. Most certainly, particularly in this country, where the government could have done something about it, but chose not to. I mean, the good people in Spain and France, their bills didn't go through the roof like ours did. Curious.
Well, I'm not. You're right. I mean, the weird thing is, to back up what I'm saying, it's IT problem. An excellent French energy company I'm in credit with. I've been in credit with for over a year and a half because I'm hardly at my property, and everyone, my neighbours, all say, it's an obvious IT problem, but they are exhausting me, and they're exhausting a lot of other people. It's a small point. I mean, I can pick a point where small stories are handled badly. I remember Boris Johnson, just before in early Feb 22, started attacking P&O ferries for the cheek of using foreign workers willing to work for less.
Right.
That's when you can have a small issue and handle it badly. I think Rusi Unit should look at a small issue here, which
was
needs to be addressed.
I'm unsure about what you just said. Which was the small issue that was handled badly? The sacking of the people and then the rehiring of foreign workers on less wages?
A media-led story in Feb 2022, early Feb 2022, was the P&O.
Yeah.
So, to my mind, just simply employing foreign workers that were willing to work for less.
But you think that's okay?
Yeah, I mean...
Okay, all right. I hear where you're coming from, Robert. You were just trying to wind me up. You started with a 20 mile an hour and didn't really get anywhere, and now it's okay to sack workers and replace them with people who are working on a minimum wage or less. Yeah, okay. What do you do for a living, mate? 0345 6060 973. Steve texts, which film or TV show does your "the little people" sound effect come from?
The little people.
I think it's that one, whatever that's called. What's that called?
No idea.
No idea. He's way too young. He's like a child in there. He doesn't know programs from the 1960s or 70s. Can't remember what that's called. The Twilight Zone. The Twilight Zone. I think it does. I can't remember where I got that. I think somebody may have sent that to me. I can't remember where most of these things come from. I mean, some of them are obvious.
Yes.
By the way, I'll repeat what I said last night about there's a series of 3 shows on Netflix about Arnold Schwarzenegger. Very entertaining. It's very good. I mean, if you like Arnold Schwarzenegger, as I do a lot...
Affirmative.
...then it'll be right up your alley. It's very, very good. I think it's just called Arnold or Arnie or, you can't miss it. It's on Netflix. Anyway, 0345 6060 973. Oldbury. Branjit.
Hi, Nick. You okay?
Hey, Branjit. Have you been frying tonight?
Indeed. I've just got home. I was just about to crack open a beer.
A beer?
Booze?
Yes. So
Okay,
what was the best selling product line that you had this evening? Was it mystery fish?
It was mystery. Like I always say, I scrumped the potatoes from the local allotment.
Yes.
And I go fishing in the local canal.
Yeah.
Now, Saturdays is definitely kebab night.
Right.
Yeah. Okay. Anyway, Labour's slogan. Yeah.
Terrible. Let's get our country's future back again, or something stupid like that. Yeah.
Yeah. If I give you an analogy of like a James Bond film, Thunderball, that was brilliant, and Octopussy and all them ones with one-word things. Then they decided to do one called Quantum of Solace, or whatever it was
terrible.
called. Yeah.
Absolutely abysmal film.
I don't know if the film was good or bad.
No, it was bad.
James Bond. Was it? And then so was the title. So people should you need either one-word slogans, maybe 2-word, maximum 3. So
3 is what works. 4 as an absolute maximum. Make America great again. That's about as long as you want. But let's get Britain's future back again, or whatever that is.
Yeah,
I mean, it's confusing apart from anything else. Which tense are we using here? Where on the clock are we exactly?
I don't know, mate, and I don't think the people that designed these slogans know. So maybe they should get the guy that used to work for Boris to come and work for the Labour Party, maybe, I think, designing slogans. The last caller you had, that was on about the people on the ferries, yeah?
Oh, yeah.
Why don't we just bring in a cheap government from overseas and run this country? I was just thinking about that.
That's a good idea, yes.
Yeah, so we just, I don't know, somewhere from, I don't know, we could bring somebody from Rwanda here.
I hear a lot of good things about the way Rwanda is run. Yeah, most certainly. Yeah, that's an excellent idea. They would sack half of them and replace the rest of them with people on minimum wage. I mean, it couldn't be worse than this, could it?
No. And going on about, remember a couple of weeks ago I said, look, the racism is getting worse and worse from the Tories, yeah?
Yeah.
And I said, how long would it be before they say, OK, we need a bit of ethnic cleansing? And you said, don't be silly, Randy, you're too angry, right?
Did I?
I think, yeah, something like that. You know, you kind of, you didn't want me to say that. But
OK.
OK, yeah, but what I'm saying is, you know, the Suella Braverman speech, the hurricane.
Yes.
You reminded me of rivers of blood, yeah?
Yeah.
It's the same, the template was the same. Right, and now they're going on about multiculturalism hasn't worked. Yeah, she's obviously married to a non-brown person, so multiculturalism has worked. Right,
right.
We live everywhere, all amongst ourselves, and they were trying to bring in something that happened in Leicester maybe a year or so ago.
Right.
Where a lot of people from the Indian subcontinent had a row with each other. Well, the thing is, you know, when we have football matches like Millwall go and you know, other teams as well, there's a row nearly every week.
Yeah.
But these guys try to get a bit of political mileage on it, right, saying multiculturalism doesn't work.
Yes.
But you know when we had COVID, right, okay, you don't have to be religious at all. You know, all the Sikh gurdwaras, the Sikh temples all over the world provided free kitchens for all the homeless people, all the people that couldn't get there. What more multiculturalism does Suella Braverman want, right? So, you know, the thing is, she's fanning all the red, you know, the right-wing people, right? And obviously Farage has come on board now. And I was saying to you a few weeks ago, he was Johnny No Mates, right? He was going across the Atlantic and Trump was saying, mate, just clear off, right? Here, he was saying, oh, this bank has done this to me because, you know, I'm
total nonsense.
Yeah, I'm going to stand up for your local man. Well, hang on, mate, you never stood up for the local man.
Not
so
really.
now he's been on that GB News, right? And
now he's he's the third most popular person to take over. Well, the second actually, because they don't much like Rishi Sunak, and Penny Mordaunt is number 2, and Nigel for Bloomin' Raj is number 3.
We've got a few idiots in our party.
I couldn't agree more.
I know the thing is now, right? Can you know, Gavin Williamson? I said this to you about a year ago, right?
Yes.
He's got quite a safe seat, and I was thinking that Boris Johnson was probably going to go there, right, to be the leader of the party again.
I don't know if Boris Johnson would be interested in being the leader of the opposition. That just sounds like too much work and too little spotlight to me.
Yeah, but where's Farage going? I think Farage is going to end up joining the Conservative Party. I think, right. Because, you know what, he needs a platform because he's tried everywhere, right, and no one's he's on the rebound now, right, and obviously the Tories are going to be on the rebound on a massive one.
Well, so he'll have to persuade at least a majority of the electorate in a relatively small area of the country to vote for him, and so far that, he's tried and tried and tried again. It just hasn't worked out. Last time he lost to a man in a dolphin suit.
I mean, they were so bad. They lost their deposit in Scotland, right? The Tories, right? Yeah. So the thing is, when you've scraped the bottom of the barrel and you've got nothing left,
where do you go then?
Then they say, where do you go then? He says, let's bring in Farage then.
I think they've already scraped through the bottom of the barrel and they're digging dirt now. Ranjit, I've got to go, but thanks a lot, mate.
This is LBC with Nick Abbott.
This is absolute tosh.
0345 6060 973. Heston, Isaac.
Hello, Nick.
Yes, sir.
How are you?
Good, thanks.
Right. Oops. 3 very quick things, okay? Mm-hmm. Number 1, your radio jingle. Did you get it from Land of the Giants from the 1970s?
Well, I didn't. Well, you mean this one?
The little people.
That one?
That's right,
yeah. I don't know where I got that from. I think somebody must have sent it to me because I didn't go... Because that's a relatively new one on my board, and I didn't search it out myself, so somebody must have sent it.
Okay, because I do remember Land of the Giants, you know, I used to come home from school, you know, in the afternoon, and I used to watch it.
Yeah,
you know,
me too. I loved that programme.
Yeah, so I think it might have come from there. Anyway, number 2, Tory Lies with Michelle Donnellan. Now, I was inspired to phone by your Scottish caller from Glasgow last night, and
we saw the same programme, and I'll tell you, and I've watched it back on YouTube, and Victoria Derbyshire really crucifies this Tory. I think she's Tory Minister for, was it Science, Innovation and, I don't know, something else. You know?
Something like that, yes.
Yeah, but 3 times, but, Victoria Derbyshire, she actually, she's a star. She actually said, these are lies. These are downright lies. You know, and the clip's on I found a clip on 2 YouTube channels, okay? Right, so anyway, I thought it was very good. Now, and finally, number 3, American sports, right?
Yeah.
As a young man, I used to play amateur basketball here in England. I played in 2 leagues, right?
Basketball.
Oh,
yeah. No, that was the wrong one. I meant boring.
Yeah. I played, wait for it, I played in the early 80s as a young man, right? I played in the men's Luton and District League, okay?
Wow, this isn't getting more interesting as it goes along. Carry on.
And then in 1984, I moved to London, where I played in the men's Middlesex League for Hounslow Basketball Club. You know, where I still live.
So boring. I went to when we had the Olympics in London. I just randomly asked for tickets to whatever was available. And I think one of the cheapest things was basketball, and I actually got tickets to see a Team GB match against China, and you would think that would be quite interesting. I mean, as far as games of any kind go, us against China, that would have some sort of interest. Yes. No, so boring. Yes. It was so dull. I just left, and really? I thought it was going to. I'll just wander around the site. It would be more interesting than watching that.
Well, Team GB, they failed to qualify for the 2019 World Cup. You know, they finished.
Are you telling me about basketball now?
Yeah.
Well, sadly, Isaac, I have to go, but it's been a delight talking to you. Thanks a lot, mate. So this is at Exchange... oh, no, it's just changed. Why did it do that? Here we go. Victoria Derbyshire clashed with Conservative MP Michelle Donnellan as she accused the party of making things up. Derbyshire showed Donnellan 3 clips of MPs at the Conservative Party conference discussing the public sorting their rubbish into 7 different bins, councils limiting how many times people can go to the shops, and Labour taxing meat. She then asks Donnellan, how can you be the party of facts when none of this is true? Liar! Exactly. I think that there's... I note a change in the air. Because the Tory MPs, they used to be able to get away with this stuff. Until relatively recently, interviewers of all stripes from all the channels, they used to let them just get away with it. So, Minister, could you tell us, what your plans are for this, that and the other? And then they'd sit silently while they just spewed lies all over them. Just covered them with misinformation. Mendacity, they would be dealing in. But now it's almost as though a memo went around overnight and interviewers are saying, you know what, no, that isn't right. What you're saying isn't true. You are lying to me right now. And Tory MPs aren't expecting this because they've had such an easy ride for 13 years straight. Accorded too much respect. Now, they don't treat us with respect, so it's about time the interviewers stop treating them with respect. But there's this sort of unspoken agreement, a pact between interviewers and politicians that you will let them say their thing and you won't interrupt and you won't disagree too much and you won't try and catch them out and all the rest of it. And then they can do their 5 minutes and waltz off and then lie their face off to the next interviewer. But it seems to me that overnight, maybe it's because they're so low in the polls that interviewers of other channels, they think, well, what are they going to do to us? You know, they can't take us off the air because they're going to be out of a job in a year. So I'm just going to go for it. And I think I have noticed that there is a change in the air, haven't you? It's almost as though The sharks have been circling for a while, but they've been too timid to actually come in and go for the kill. But now there's blood in the water. They think, oh, what the hell? Feeding frenzy. It's like a buffet out there. Good. About bloomin' time. 0345 6060 973. Somebody suggested... where was that suggestion about where I've got that clip from? Where did that go? That was right at the top of this list. Where did that go?
Go to Patrick in Gwent, he'll tell you.
Patrick in Gwent, and he'll tell me. Wow. It's almost like this show's been planned. Gwent, Patrick.
Yes, mate. How are you? All right?
Good, thanks.
Mate, you know, all right? Wait now. Stay with me, okay? Right. I was born in 72. I live in Wales now, all right? I came to Wales when I was 10, okay? I was born in 72, and when I can't really remember, when I was around 5 or 6, right? My dad took me to my very first film, and it was in the Strand cinema in Derry, and it was called Darby O'Gill and the Little People.
Barbie O'Gill and the Little People.
Yeah, and he's a storyteller. It's a really good film, right? It's like a story. I just imagine it must be a kid's film then, right? It's about little leprechauns and all that, you know? Oh, it's brilliant. You should watch it. I swear to God, right? Darby O'Gill and the Little People.
I've never heard of it.
Right, so, God, look it up. Google it. Darby O'Gill.
I don't know. That sounds like homework.
No, you like a bit of homework. And you know, right? You know Ranjit?
Yeah.
I was a bit worried about him because last week and the week before you never said, are you flying tonight? And I on a Friday I had to think, I wonder if Ranjit will phone in and Jan. And I think, I'd like to take part because they're like regulars, aren't they? Well, they'd be a regular, you know?
Yeah.
They're like Nick Abbott on a Friday, Saturday, Sunday. Nick Abbott, LBC.
Right.
I love it.
Well, keep eating the bran and you two will be regular. All right, thanks for the swerve there, Patrick. Darby O'Gill and the Little People. Is that what this is?
The Little People. But it ain't like you think. It ain't leprechauns, don't you see? It's little men from Mars or somewhere. And it ain't a toadstool they're under. It's a spaceship.
Yeah, it's a documentary. I have no idea where that comes from. It could be that. I just don't know. But thanks for the advice. 0345 6060 973. On the subject of the new political slogan that the Labour Party have mistakenly adopted, which is something of the order of let's make Britain great again in the future like it used to be back before. Something like that. Let's get Britain's future back. It's just terrible. I mean, really bad. I've mentioned it several times on this programme. I've seen it written down on the screen and I've read it out. And I still can't remember exactly what it is, which means it's a very bad slogan. Terrible. I mean, shockingly awful. For a start, you just think, what the hell are they talking about? I mean, are we in the past and we're looking to the future, or are we in the future and looking to the past? And what is it that we're trying to get back? And I'm confused. You see, if you've got people thinking, if you've got that on a lectern and people are looking at you on TV and they're reading the lectern and they're thinking, what the hell does that mean? Then they're not paying any attention to what the person behind the lectern is saying. You've got to make it simple. Anyway, they won't be told. Dom says, Nick, the worst political slogan ever, which turned out to have far-reaching ramifications to the detriment of almost everyone, was get Brexit done. That's right. That's a perfect slogan. It really is. 3 words. It's an order, but it's also an idea that there will be pleasure after it's happened. All we have to do is get Brexit done. And it can be inserted into all sorts of sentences. And it doesn't actually have to mean anything. That's the beauty of it. It doesn't really mean anything. What does it mean? Get Brexit done. Is Brexit done yet?
No.
No, it isn't. We haven't even started checks on food coming in. Because, as Smug explained, once we start checking the food that comes in from the European Union, the price of food will go up even more than it has already.
We could have cheaper food, clothing and footwear straight
away. Yeah. No, Brexit hasn't even been got done yet. It's like 7 years after the referendum. Still not done. But a perfect political slogan. Ain't that right, Bodge?
I can't comment on that.
This is LBC with Nick Abbott. Call 0345 6060 973. Tweet at LBC. Text 84850.
Oh, hello.
0345 6060 973. Donny texts, maybe the Labour Party should change their slogan to Kia today, gone tomorrow. Well, it's cute, but it doesn't really make any sense. What do you mean by that? Gary says, Scotland, months worth of rain in a day. The LBC weather report in your last break, says Gary. Yeah, not that break. That message came in a little while ago, but that is true. Yeah, a month's worth of rain in a day. How many times have you heard that phrase lately? The word unprecedented will be inserted into a story about the weather. And when the weather is part of the news before they get to the weather forecast, that's a sign. That's a sign that something is happening. When they say unprecedented a lot, that means it's unprecedented. A month's worth of rain in a day is a sign that something is happening. But, you know, it's just a conspiracy theory to make Donald Trump use less hairspray.
Oh, shut up!
Or something silly like that. Bound to be. Yeah, I read it on the internet. Brighton. Hello, Max.
Hi there, Nick. Thanks for taking the call. Very funny. I chuckled earlier when you said that Nigel Farage was beaten by someone wearing a dolphin suit.
Yeah. That's actually true.
I know.
Yeah.
But hilarious. And on the kind of vague, I'll get to my point in a second. I promise I will. But on the vague political spectrum, it's hilarious that you get the idea of wheeling out Suella Braverman with a kind of Sten gun and sort of shooting us around the party political, sort of conference, and to get her point across, and everyone going, yeah, that's great. But aside from that, what I was going to say was, what does a kind of normal, vaguely rational person do to, apart from just laugh and moan? In other words, what can we do until the election? Can we do anything?
Yes, we can. Yes. The most important thing to do is to make sure that you have voter ID. Mm-hmm. The second most important thing is if you want a postal vote, get it now, as in straight away, because I can't remember the precise details, but it's about to become much more difficult to register for a postal vote. So if you're thinking of doing that, you must do it immediately. It is free. It's just look it up on the World Wide Web, register for a postal vote, and you'll be able to do it. The thing about both of those things, a voter ID and a postal vote, is don't wait till near the date, because by then it'll be too late. And that's what the regime is relying on. They, like the Republicans in America, they want to get as few people as possible to go out and vote, because they know that their base will vote as a larger percentage than any other demographic, because they're 65 plus, exactly right. And they're gonna vote, yes. If you can just get a few people from, the few people that are younger to not vote, then their chance of winning increases dramatically. So that's the thing that... you can't use those. You can't use builder's language like that, Max. He just got a little bit excited, that's all. I mean, he meant well. But, no, those are the messages that I would give. And don't get downhearted. I mean, I know it's been 13 blooming long years, and they still seem to be, weirdly, eager to carry on. Why? Why? I mean, do you ever wonder why they are so desperately eager to cling on to power after having had the reins for 13 years? How much more do they need? What is it that they haven't managed to do already that they have in store for us? I mean, can we dismiss that they're running the country for the benefit of the people? Of course not. Because what could they not have done, what could they not have achieved in 13 years of power that they need another 5 years in order to do? Exactly what? So you have to wonder why. And none of the reasons that I can come up with are particularly good. None of the reasons that I can come up with as to why they are so desperate to cling on to power actually paint them in a good light. I can't think of a single thing that would actually recommend them to me or you. So you just have to wonder, what is it that they're after? How much more do they need? The most important thing is, well, three things. One, do not get disheartened. Things change. Things can change for the better. They can. Things have been better before, and they can be better in the future. Two, if you're going to vote postally, then make sure that you register straight away. I think it's by the end of this month. It's that soon, that sudden. The rules are going to change. They're going to make it more difficult. It's like they're taking the tricks from the Republican Party in America, just make it as difficult as possible for anybody that might vote for the opposition to actually register to vote. So if you're going to vote, if you're going to have a postal vote, then register for that this month, as in right now. Don't delay, do it immediately. And other than that, you're going to need a voter ID. And there's no point in waiting until the week of the election and thinking, oh, you know what, I don't have one. Maybe I should get one. Oh, I'll do it tomorrow. I'll do it later. I'll do it next week. Next time around, I'll do it. Give me 5 years. I'll get my act together. No, do it straight away, immediately, and then put it in a drawer, and you can forget about it until the day comes round. And you can thank me later. No, wait. I've changed my mind. You can thank me now.
Thank you.
0345 6060 973. I still haven't got around to this poll, this massive poll. Most polls are done, are conducted with about 2,000 people. This is much bigger than that. Huge. And, well, it's pretty interesting. I'll come to that in a minute. Sidcup. Hello, Malcolm.
Hello.
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir. I've got a simple thing. UK government or governmentuk.com. CON.
Right. What's that?
UKgovernment.com. CON.
Yes, CON. Con, yeah.
Yes.
But what is it that you're saying?
Well, basically, it's all a con. So change the website, whatever. It's not .com, it's .con.
.con, right.
Yeah, they're conning the public, the taxpayer.
And you're recommending that the Tories change their website?
I recommend the government change the website.
Its own website to illuminate the fact, or illuminate the notion that they are conning us.
Yes.
Right. Okay, well, I'll pass that suggestion on, Malcolm. I'm not sure that they'll be rushing to take that up. I'm not sure they'll be too eager to adopt that, but we can but try. Excellent work. Thanks a lot, mate. 0345 6060 973. Bell texts, I'm not sure which politician could play Marty McFly, but Jezza Corbyn could easily pass for Dog. He could. He could. And how about Lee Anderson as Biff? Excellent, yes. And his mouth-breathing chum could be one of his moronic acolytes, yes. If we're going to go full Back to the Future, which I think is what the Labour Party are... I mean, I presume that it's a play on Back to the Future, the Labour Party's new slogan. Let's get Britain's future back. It's just terrible. I mean, it doesn't really give much hope for the contents of their little away day this week. The conference, the Labour Party conference. It doesn't really sing hope, does it? That's their slogan. Let's get Britain's future back. I mean, there's 2 apostrophes in there for a start, which just looks terrible written down. And it's let us get Britain's future back. 6 words. 5, okay, apostrophed let's. But that's, even 5 is 2 words too many. At a minimum, it's 1 word too many. It's just awful. I mean, I'm looking at it written down right now, and it just looks terrible. Whereas, get Brexit done is a perfect political slogan. I mean, it doesn't have to mean anything. It doesn't have to be true. It doesn't have to actually suggest anything positive or not, but it's just something to rally around. It's something for furious people to clench their fists and yell in the street. But we just want Brexit. You know, right, like that. A message coming in from next door, it should be, take back Britain, or take Britain back, maybe. But that's something that someone like Suella Braverman would come out with. No, not that. It's a bit too dark. No, let's get Britain's future back. It's utterly meaningless. It's the worst political slogan I've ever seen in my life. Keir Starmer, are you out of your mind? You're going to stand behind a lectern that's got let's get Britain's future back on it? How wide is that lectern going to have to be? 0345. I see, they haven't even started yet, and already I'm very disappointed. But you know me, I never complain.
Whinging and whining and moaning.
Nick Abbott on LBC. Call 0345 6060 973.
I am not one of your fans!
Archie texts, was Titchy Dingbat wearing platform shoes at the Tory conference? The lectern looked quite tall, and he usually has to stand on... He usually has to stand on tiptoes to kiss his wife. I didn't know that. Titchy Dingbat. I think Tetchy Dingbat would also work. Darren texts, has Carol ever rung you at night?
No.
No. No, she doesn't listen to this show. No. I do a podcast with Carol McGiffin.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's called What's Your Problem with Nick and Carol? It is funny. It's about the most I laugh during the whole week. I can't think of any TV show I laugh at more than the hour that I do with Carol McGiffin. And I think she'd probably say the same thing. We just set each other off. It is funny, if you've got an hour and you wish to be amused, we're coming up for our 200th episode. I cannot believe that we've done that many. But there's plenty up there to listen to. It's available on Global Player. The podcast is called What's Your Problem with Nick and Carol. Let's have a look now. Who's been waiting the longest? Staines. Ew. Gary.
Oh, hello, Nick. Another great show. Thank you.
Thank you.
You said about who would want the Tories back in. Well, why would they deserve to be back in? Well, they don't. There's nobody in the population that should want them back in. But they want to hold on to power because they are absolutely petrified that organisations like the Good Law Project, the Director of Public Prosecutions, and all of the people in the wings waiting to pounce when they're out of power for all of the dirty deeds that they've undertaken and all the money that they've lost for the country and where it's gone.
Yeah.
There are people lined up to take them down.
I'm not sure about that. I think that they have already got away with it.
Well, it's like some of these cold cases, 20 years old, people get prosecuted still.
Yeah, but not people...
The evidence is still there.
Yeah, not people of their ilk, though. I mean, that's not what this country does. This country allows those people to do whatever they like and get away with it. As I've said many times before, those people aren't going to prison, they're going to the House of Lords.
Yeah, but that's because over the last 13 years, that's what we've been used to. But there's every chance that there's enough people that are livid enough to do something about it because there's been just too much, literally, criminal behaviour.
I think we've just walked. We've just lived through the biggest heist in history. I don't think there's ever been an amount of money that has been taken that exceeds what has happened right under our noses. I mean, they're not even trying to cover it up. They're telling us that they're picking our pocket while they're picking our pocket. But I just don't believe that anything is going to happen, Gary. I cannot see it.
Well, I know that there are people in the Good Law Project and AC Grayling and that sort of ilk of people that are waiting to do something. And
every now and again, they score a success. They did just the other day. Legal action by the Good Law Project and Ecotricity founder Dale Vince has forced UK tax authorities to admit that private equity fund managers have been paying tax at the wrong rate for more than 35 years.
What?
35 years. Since 1987, HMRC has taxed the money managers, the money that managers receive from private equity funds as capital gains as a rate of 28%, instead of trading it as, or taxing it as income, which is taxed at 47%. So they've been getting away with paying 28% tax when they should have been paying 47% tax. HMRC has now admitted that. And you know what's going to happen about that? I bet absolutely nothing at all.
Well, it's time for a change. Labour's slogan, get the Tories. 3 words.
Well, I think that'd have to be 4. Get the Tories out.
Out.
Because it would, if you don't add the out on the end there, then it doesn't seem like a complete sentence to me. But even then, no, you can't reference the other side if you're trying to sell yourself to the general public. I don't know what would be better than let's get Britain's future back, but I think anything would do. Anything at all. Let's get Britain back would be better than let's get Britain's future back, but it would be equally meaningless. All right, thanks a lot, Gary. 0345 6060 973. John texts, is that like a whole list of possible solutions? Right, okay, you've got 10 of them. Wow, excellent work, John. I'll come to those in a minute. Was that it, Gary?
Oh, yes.
Okay.
I've been trying to think of a slogan, but I can't get one.
All right, well, as soon as something occurs to you, I want you to let me know straight away, all right? Cheers, Gary. 0345 6060 973. I still haven't come to this poll yet. But this tax thing, that's just incredible. 35 years. People in the finance racket have been paying 28% tax when they should have been paying 47%. And the HMRC have just admitted that. You know, HMRC just admitted the other day that they don't prosecute the rich because it would be detrimental, the rich who have been avoiding tax, because it would be detrimental to their reputation. They actually said that out loud. The Good Law Project and Dale Vince warned the tax authorities in May of an impending legal challenge, arguing that this practice is unlawful in the case of buyout funds. Okay, so follow me here. I don't really know anything about the finance racket, but this is basically what they do. Buyout funds buy mature companies. Companies that are already working, they got an order book and they got staff and all the rest of it. They buy mature companies with borrowed money. They use the company's assets and income to pay off the debt, which means that they've essentially bought the company for nothing. So they borrow money based on the company's assets, and they use the assets that they sell off and the income to pay off the debt that they've taken out to buy that company. So they've essentially bought the company without any layout of themselves. And then, of course, they sell the company on. And the money that they make by selling the company on, what's left of the company that they just tart up and sell on, that is their income. But instead of taxing their income at an income tax rate, they tax it as capital gains at 28% instead of what you and me would get taxed at is 47%. So the whole system is totally rigged against people who work for a living and for people who increase the value of their assets for a living. And now HMRC have conceded that for 35 years, those people have been getting away with it. And I would bet every stitch of clothing that I'm wearing right now that absolutely nothing will happen. You think that they're going to go back over 35 years and make all of those millionaires and billionaires pay back some of the money that they owe us, the little people?
The little people.
No way. It would be detrimental to their reputation, I bet you. It's not in the public's interest to prosecute those people, I bet you. Britain has endured a decade of conservative austerity. We've been told that there is no money for public services, while as much as £4 billion has been gifted to private equity interests. Not million, billion. £4 billion they have managed to swerve in paying tax when you and I would have got taxed all of that money. But they got a pass. Curious, ain't it? Strange. It's almost as though the entire system is rigged against us. So, oh, blimey, wow, the texts are really coming in with suggestions about the slogan that the Labour Party should adopt that's just anything other than let's get Britain's future back, which is just terrible. It's a no, 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 no from me.
No, 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 no.
All right, so I'll get to those in a minute. I must tell you about the poll, this latest massive poll, huge poll, which has bad news for a certain element. A certain element is not going to be pleased when they hear about that. And some texts to end this hour. Come back with all of that and more. Jamie texts, apparently when inflation goes up, it's a global problem and nothing to do with the government. Yet when it goes down, it's all thanks to Fishy. Yeah, appreciate it, Fishy.
Thank you.
But you have delighted us enough. Paul texts, Tory legacy after 14 years of rule, low growth economy, borrowed to the hilt, taxes sky high in a nothing works Britain, wallowing in sewage. That's true. Yeah. And Rebecca says, I've driven in rush hour traffic in a number of UK cities. I've spent more time driving under 20 mile an hour in built-up areas. Why are folk crying about a lower speed limit when they're adhering to it anyway? Good point, Rebecca. 0345 6060 973, Friday, Saturday, Sunday night at 10. Nick Abbott, LBC.
On your radio, on Global Player, and
Play LBC.
leading Britain's conversation. This is LBC. This is LBC from Global, leading Britain's conversation with Nick Abbott.
You're joking.
Everything is going extremely well.
They misnumbered the two uses of the word number in the same sentence. They miscounted the number of students. Really? I mean, that's basic maths. That is. They can't count. 0345 6060 973. Slogans, potential slogans for the Labour Party that are better, each and every one of these, better than let's get Britain's future back, which is the worst political slogan I've ever heard in my life. You have got to be kidding me. John says, power to the people. Yeah, right on.
Rock and roll!
Fairness for all. Yes. Yes. Fairness for all. Progressive, strong, united. Yeah, that's okay. Equality, opportunity, unity. That's all right too. Working families first. Well, I don't know about that. A future for all. Well, it's meaningless, but it's better than let's get Britain's future back. Change for good. Yes, I like it. Labour forward together. What's wrong with that? Building better lives. Correctamundo. And people, planet, prosperity. I don't know about that one. Favourite of that lot? Change for good is good. Change for good. How about that? Has anybody used that before? I like it. Excellent work there, John. Chris has given us 9 of them. I'll come to those in a minute. And you must remind me to do this polling because it's really, really bad news for a certain element. Bath. Hello, John.
Hey, how are you?
Great, mate.
I'll tell you what, first of all, I've got a couple of slogany things, but one of them is for the Labour Party. Why don't they just use if Mr McCartney will let them come together? Also, I've got one for the Conservative Party, sewage in your water, think of the protein.
Oh.
If I sound a bit kind of wobbly, it's because I've just waxed my chopping board with beeswax, and I'll tell you, they should sell this stuff on the street.
You've waxed your chopping board. Is that a euphemism?
It's not, unfortunately. I live a very sheltered life. But what I was going to say to you is...
What's your chopping board made of?
Wood. It's beeswax. This is getting worse.
But what kind of wood?
A friend made it to me. He's a carpenter. He said it was oak.
Right.
It's probably
but is that actually... is that hygienic? Because
if you wax it, yes.
Is it?
Yeah. If you wax it, and it's a bit like a seasoned frying pan. If you season it and you actually... And by seasoning it with hot olive oil or something like that, and you just let it burn off and then wipe it down, it's a bit like a wok.
I guess beeswax has antiseptic properties, doesn't it?
It does, yeah. But
I bought a jar of honey the other day. It's the best honey I've ever had in my life. In fact, it's so much better than any other honey I've ever had. It's almost like no. It's almost like a different product entirely. It's a jar of honey that's stuffed with the actual honeycomb. Have you ever had that?
Oh, that's lovely. I've seen it, yes. I keep meaning to buy it.
It is out of this world. It's unlike any other honey I've ever had, and I cannot stop eating it. It is fantastic.
That on a piece of crusty bread.
You know, I read the other day that a bee, guess how much honey a bee produces in its lifetime?
Oh, I can't imagine. 1 million tons?
1 million tons.
Listen, I'm taking the leaf out of the Conservative handbook. If you don't know, just lie.
Just make it up, yeah. A teaspoon. A teaspoon.
What? Oh, my God.
Yeah.
Is that why there's so many of them?
All that effort, and that's what they make, a teaspoon.
But you know what I wanted to say is this. It's a couple of things. First of all, I'll just leave this one hanging out there. You know, the vertically challenged George Osborne is a bit of a diddy man.
Is he? How tall is George Osborne?
I've seen him in Portobello Road when I'm down here, and it's just like he's quite short. He does look like a garden gnome.
Okay.
But he's actually recently gone on record saying he thinks that Nigel Farage would be a good candidate for the next Tory leadership.
Oh, my God.
I mean, all sorts of alarm bells just went off there because I can actually see this thing happening.
Yes.
Just when we thought it couldn't get any worse.
Exactly.
You know.
Well, maybe. I mean, if the Tory party do split into factions, as that would probably presage, then I would imagine that they would spend the next 10 years doing what the Labour Party ordinarily does, which is fighting amongst themselves.
That's it.
Ensuring they lose any subsequent election.
But you know, you said earlier on there was a man driving behind you. I did say this to you yesterday that you are probably under surveillance.
Yeah. And you know what? And I said this last night. Okay? You know, every now and again you can get a little bit paranoid because you know, doing this job, criticising the regime. I think, well, they're not going to like that, are they? And then it occurred to me that, of course, I am utterly insignificant to these people, or at least I hope I am. But James O'Brien better watch his back.
Yeah, well, that's true. But I suppose they say, you know, birds of a feather because you're kind of similar in terms of your viewpoints. I mean, they might just put you on a kind of a mutual.
Yeah, but you know, he's on during the day, right after Nick Ferrari, whereas I'm on at night when no one's listening. So you know,
are you suggesting they know night from day?
Maybe I'll get away with it.
No, what I was going to say, honestly, it's just two things, right? One of them is this, right? It's this overuse of buzzwords unprecedented.
Yeah.
The unprecedented nature of this unprecedentedness was unprecedented. I even heard it to do with what's going on in Israel today. It was just like, they said it's unprecedented. It's not.
No, well, that's not unprecedented. No, but they're using the word unprecedented in relation to the weather, which is actually unprecedented. If it's if it's never been as hot at this time of year before, or if there's never been that much rain in a month before, or if the year is the hottest year that's ever been recorded before, then all of that is unprecedented.
No, but Nick, I tell you what, listen to the news and listen to the radio, whatever it is. You're going to hear that word used in the most weirdest of places. I heard them talking about it it was like, this is truly unprecedented. Everyone's using that. But ever since the pandemic, it's the one word they can come out with, unprecedented. That just basically means you were too stupid to see what was coming.
No, I don't think that's right. I just hear unprecedented a lot in relation to weather events, which does rather suggest that the things that scientists thought would happen 50 years from now have actually started to happen already. And I think that they probably said that they'd happen 50 years from now because it would be too much of a potential gotcha for them to say, it might happen next year, and next year will come and go, and people say, well, there you see, scientists got it wrong. So now we need to not bother ourselves with science anymore.
Honestly, the last thing I wanted to say was, I don't know if you caught it, on television there was a representative of kind of like the Stop Oil kind of organisation.
Yeah.
And this individual made the massive mistake of actually getting slightly emotional, and all the press kind of dived on her.
Yeah.
Like, we don't have none of that here, we don't want any emotion. It's just the planet and our children.
Well, yes, but it was slightly unconvincing, that display of emotion. A little bit.
But we do have a kind of a habit of shooting the messenger.
That's true. Yeah, because we don't like the message. No, that's right.
We care about that tree on Hadrian's Wall. Just sod all the other trees across the globe.
Yeah, there's 1 million trees get cut down every day, I think, to make toilet paper.
Disgusting.
Yeah. That seems hard to believe, but I did read that on a packet of toilet paper.
Well, they did bulk buy all that stuff during the pandemic.
They did what now?
They did bulk buy all the toilet paper during the pandemic, and maybe that's why.
No, I think that 1 million trees get cut down every day just to make toilet paper worldwide, and I read it on a packet of toilet paper. So I can't finish that sentence. That is the never mind. I can't finish that sentence. It's an organ of record. There you go. That'll do. Just anything to move on from that. Thanks a lot, John.
Leading Britain's conversation. Nick Abbot. Alexa, send a comment to LBC.
Oh, hello there. Very nice to meet you.
Survation polled 11,793 people, which is a huge poll. And these things are normally about 2,000 people. 11,793 people between the 11th and the 25th of September. They found that Labour is currently on course to win a landslide victory on the scale of 1997. Whenever that was. New modelling points to the Conservatives losing every red wall seat secured at the last election. The Tories could also lose more than 20 constituencies in its southern blue wall strongholds and achieve a record low number of seats. Deputy Prime Minister Oliver Dowden, Defence Secretary Grant Shapps, or whatever he's calling himself this week, and leadership contender Penny Mordaunt are among those facing defeat. You know Penny Mordaunt, the stand-up and fight lady. Stand up and fight, and stand up and fight. I've forgotten the rest of my speech, so I'll just say stand up and fight. You know that one. Very sadly, 12 cabinet ministers face being unseated unless Mr. Integrity Fishy Sunak can close Labour's poll lead. How absolutely awful for them. According to the model, Labour would win 420 seats, equating to a landslide 190-seat majority. The Tories would take just 149 seats and the Lib Dems 23. Which makes me wonder who exactly is living in the 149 seats that think that the answer to our problems is more of the party that's caused them. I mean, it's a certain demographic beloved of right-wing demagogues the world over.
I love the poorly educated.
He loves the poorly educated. The results mirror the 1997 landslide when Tony Blair secured a majority of 179 with 418 seats. The new analysis also suggests that the cost of living and the state of the NHS continue to be clear priorities for the voters. It's our number one priority. Meanwhile, Fishy is still strumming this one.
The country's priority is to stop the boats. And at the same time, I think people know that I'm relentlessly focusing on stopping the boats. And I'm relentlessly focused on stopping the boats. That's one of my 5 priorities, stopping the boats. And I think people know that I'm working night and day to stop the boats. I firmly believe that that's what the country wants me to do. That's what the government is committed to doing, and we're working night and day to stop the boats. That's what the country wants us to focus on, and I will keep at it.
Yeah. This huge study commissioned by the 38 Degrees campaign group has been carried out by Survation Polling Company using a mega poll made up of more than 11,000 voters. And who are 38 Degrees, I hear you ask? Well, according to their website, they're a community of more than 1 million people who, in a moment away from their busy days, take small actions on issues they care about, which all add up to something bigger, a movement for a better Britain for everyone who calls our country home. They say we come from all walks of life. We're nurses, taxi drivers, parents, shopkeepers, pensioners and more. Ah, enemies of the people. People who care about this country. Put them all on a plane to Rwanda. That's my dream. A 190-seat Labour majority is an average estimate. The modelling, based on polling carried out shortly before the Tory conference last week, suggests a Labour majority of between 154 and 224 seats. Wow. And did anything happen in the Tory party conference that would bring people towards the Conservatives? No. People are running away. Every one of the 44 red wall seats that the Tories won at the last election would return to Labour, the analysis found. Does that mean that barking skinhead Lee is for the chop?
Yes.
Yeah. How about the mouth breather he hangs out with?
Affirmative.
Yeah, him too. Careers terminated.
Correct.
A further 22 so-called blue wall seats, defined as those held by the Tories in 2019, have a majority of Remain voters, and a higher than average number of graduates are also lost by the Conservatives. They hate the well-educated as well. They love the poorly educated and they hate the well-educated. And despite Sunak's attempts to switch focus to his plans to ban smoking and overhaul A-levels and ditch the northern leg of HS2, the analysis suggests that voters remain overwhelmingly focused on the cost of living and the state of the NHS, neither of which is going to get better before the next election, and both of which are a direct result of this catastrophic clown show of a regime. In every single constituency, these two issues were more important to voters. Across the country, a third said they're getting by but making cutbacks. 8% described themselves as financially desperate. More than 2/5 said they had struggled to get a GP appointment in the past 6 months, which means the other 3/5 haven't tried. Just ask yourself this. Has your life got better over the last 13 years? Is it easier to access the health service? Is an NHS dentist easily available? Is the weekly shop more affordable? Has the government addressed any of the things that most concern you, or are they engaged in gaslighting and lying and misdirection and telling you that up is down and black is white and all of your troubles are the fault of men in dresses reading stories or some damp people washing up on the shore in Dover? Those aren't our number one priorities, Fishy. They never will be. It doesn't matter how many times you tell us they are.
Under my leadership, the government's priorities are your priorities.
Yeah, sure they are. He's gripping it. I've got a good idea. Here's how the Tories can turn this around. Get back in our good books. Show they really are in touch. Why doesn't Fishy Sunak tweet a picture of himself in his private jet, telling us that he has the common person's interests at heart? Oh, that's right. He did that already. Yesterday.
What?
He actually did that. Told us that he's taking tough decisions about our future while gadding about like a rock star on a private plane paid for by us poor dopes who pay taxes. You know.
The little people.
He's not very good at this, is he? 0345 6060 973. Let's have Dublin. Derek.
Nick, the little people.
Yeah.
So I have a slogan for you. It would be good on a T-shirt. It's really for Labour. Are you ready?
Go on.
Labour loves little people, love Labour.
That's absolutely abysmal.
I know. It's the best I could do this hour of the morning.
Well, it's better than what they've got, but it's still terrible.
Well, I think it would work on a T-shirt. I'd buy it.
You'd buy it, right? Well, okay. I'll look out for you in a high street near me soon. All right.
Please do.
Thanks a lot, Derek. 0345 6060 973. Let's get Britain's future back is apparently what the Labour Party are going for with their slogan for the upcoming conference. I can't believe it. It's the worst political slogan I've ever seen in my life. Let's get Britain's future back. What does that even mean? Chris has texted the following suggestions. Not the Tories. It's pithy, it's to the point, and it's true. It has a certain appeal. But you can't reference the other side in your own slogan. That was one, not the Tories. Two, won't steal. 3, will turn up. 4, fix broken Britain. Yes. 5, replace alloy wheels. What? 6, clean air party. 7, no to Boris.
Yeah. Wait a minute.
8, safer schools party. And 9, the clean water party. Well, I think you peaked with not the Tories there, Chris. But good effort. Thanks for that. 0345 6060 973. Leon texts, the slogan for Labour should be choose our lies instead. There was a mashup done. I tweeted this. I retweeted it. Somebody else's work, not mine. And it was the beginning of. What's the film that was set in Scotland that had Underworld as the...
Trainspotting?
Trainspotting is the right answer, yeah. Trainspotting. Somebody did the beginning of Trainspotting, you know, when some of the characters are running through the street being chased by the coppers, having nicked stuff from a shop, I think. And it's Choose Life. You remember that? Somebody has repurposed that, and they've got Fishy Sunak running away. It's just priceless. It really is good. I think Irvin Welsh, the writer of Trainspotting, he said, normally I don't like these kind of things, but this is actually excellent. And so I retweeted him saying that. It's on my Twitter feed. It's N.I. Abbot, 2 B's, 1 T. It is worth having a look at. But choose our lies instead. Not bad, Leon. Not bad. Carnforth. Hey, Penny.
Hey, Nick. How you doing?
Great, mate.
Good. You were saying earlier about why did the Tories want another 5 years in power?
Yes.
Well, I can think of a few reasons. 2 in particular, that they haven't finished off the job they wanted to do, which is to completely destroy the welfare state, which they've nearly done, but they haven't quite finished it off yet.
Yeah.
Might be on life support, but, they haven't quite done the job. 3 examples of that would be the NHS. I think they'd like to completely privatise it, completely run it into the ground so that it cannot function, and then say, oh dear, look at the NHS, it never did work.
Yes.
So we'll have to privatise it.
That is their trick. They do it with councils and they do it with the NHS. They defund an organisation and then blame that organisation for not being able to cope.
Oh, definitely. I mean, they're doing it with councils now. I mean, that was another thing I was going to say about councils. And social care comes into that one because do you remember a while back they were saying that they were going to give, so I can't remember how much it was now, so many £1 million to the NHS and social care. And then just a few months after that, they said, well, we're just delaying the social care part of it now, which they have done to infinity, I think, because there's been no mention of it. And the media didn't really pick up on that one at all, because nobody really cares about social care.
No.
Everybody cares about the NHS. But just wait till you're older or disabled, then you will care about it.
Exactly.
And the other thing is the DWP as well, because they just don't want anybody to be on benefits. You know, they'll all just have to be, you know, live on the streets and eat out of dustbins, anybody that's, you know, on benefits. So, because they did actually, Fishy Sunak mentioned that, didn't he, during his speech about having a go at people, disabled people on ESA. I think
they're all faking it.
Yeah, they are, according to him. Yeah, and I think they just want to make it so difficult to get on and so punitive that hardly anybody will be on it, and then they can just abolish it altogether, I think, and make everybody have universal credit. But when people get moved from other types of benefits who are disabled onto universal credit, they lose a lot of money, so it's a lot cheaper for them. So I think they want to just get rid of ESA and get any disabled people onto universal credit.
I think that it's all of that is probably true, and they want to, you know, they're being paid by the same people that pay the Republicans in America. It's the same people, it's the same funders, it's the same sort of handful of billionaires who, for some weird reason, I don't know whether it's just the more money you have, the more desperate you are to make more of it. It seems to be some sort of sickness, but they're obsessed with making more money, and they will pay millions of pounds in order to make hundreds of millions of pounds, more than they already have. They already have more money than they could possibly spend in multiple lifetimes if they stayed up all night long and all day long bashing the plastic. They couldn't possibly get through the money they already have, but their number one priority is to make more of it, weirdly. So I think that there's that. But also, is it beyond the realms of possibility that the best place to benefit from what a government might decide to do in the future is in the room where those decisions are made?
Oh, yes, definitely. And they do want to sort of carry on shrinking the state in every way, including getting rid of all regulations, because then their billionaires, chums, and themselves can just make more and more money because just scrap all regulations. That's why they're always going on about scrapping red tape.
Red tape, that's what that means. Yeah,
it means scrapping any regulations that might get in their way of making more money.
Right, which means that our future of a high-wage, high-skill economy is actually just most of us on a moped delivering food to people who are sitting at home exhausted from a hard day on minimum wage.
They probably won't even be able to afford to eat food soon, Nick. Anybody. We'll all just be eating out of bins of the rich people.
Yeah.
You know.
But apart from that, it's a bright, bright future. All right.
It is.
Yeah, thanks a lot, Annie. 0345 6060 973. Yeah, I mean, if you were a betting person, wouldn't it be the best place to be to put a bet on what you already know is going to happen, but that has not been released to the public yet? I mean, I'm just saying that is probably the best place if you were betting on the outcome of whatever it might be. Then it would, like if you were buying a lottery ticket, it would be great to be able to buy one after the numbers have been read out, wouldn't it? I wonder if that has perhaps got something to do with it, that the best place to benefit from a government decision would be in the room when that decision is being made. That may have something to do with it. It may have nothing to do with it. It just occurred to me. That's all.
This is LBC with Nick Abbott. Call 0345 6060 973. Text 84850. Alexa, send a comment to LBC.
You're wondering what it's all about, and I can't tell you because I don't know myself.
So that news story again, the Department for Education can't count. It just gets worse and worse, don't it? They miscounted the number of pupils they have. They cannot count. Counting is about the easiest part of maths. Can't do it. Department for Education. Unable to count. So very sadly, it appears that state schools will get less money than the pitifully small amount that the Tories said that they were going to get anyway. None of this, of course, will affect pupils in Eton. Pupils in state schools should remember this because it's their fault that they did not choose to be born to rich parents. They only have themselves to blame. 0345 6060 973. Let's have a call in Seattle. Naveed.
Hello.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, I just wanted to talk about earlier you were talking about, where are we with the NHS, housing, and just general policies relative to 10 years ago. I'm living in Seattle, obviously, now, but I only came here a couple of years ago. Up until the pandemic, I was really had a lot of sort of health issues, mental health issues, and my family's been settled here for. My sister and family have been, and parents and whatnot, have been settled here for decades. So I was kind of on my own in the UK. And once COVID hit, one of the reasons I ended up in Seattle was because I wasn't getting anywhere with help, with sort of the council and just, lack of support. And then COVID hit. And so that, to be fair to the council I was dealing with, that kind of made matters worse. And, touch wood, apart from the housing issue, I very much lucked out. I mean, I'd never had a problem with my GP. The GP's in Shepherd's Bush, I don't know if I'm allowed to name the surgery.
No, you don't need to.
Okay, yeah, fair enough. Yeah. So the surgery in Shepherd's Bush have been amazing. So luckily with the GP and the dentist, I've never had any problems in the Shepherd's Bush area.
But now you're in Seattle. Surely all that stuff is way more expensive, isn't it?
It is, but you know what? A lot of people don't understand is that there is a very heavily subsidized care. Obviously, it's not as here they also have some issues with waiting lists and whatnot.
Yeah.
At work,
unless you have money. I mean, if you have money, then the doctor will see you straight away.
Not necessarily. Since COVID has changed, so even when I came here, I did end up getting a job and got insurance. It did take a bit of a time to. But even if you're not working and you are poor, there is state help available for
not a lot. Let's be honest, not much, but a little bit. I mean, it's not like it used to be here 13 years ago. 13 years ago, we had the #1 rated health system in the world. Now look at it. It's not even an emergency system anymore. We can't even do that.
Yeah, but even with the private healthcare here, what I was going to tell you that today at work, one of my colleagues is having to, one of my clients is having to take 2 weeks off work because she has to drive her father-in-law some 6 hours away to a specialist. That's where the only place they could get an appointment. And she's had to take 2 weeks off because they have the initial appointment and they might have follow-ups and whatnot. And this is despite someone having private medical insurance. So I think generally, from my experience, yes, I think just healthcare professionals worldwide, there's a shortage, regardless of the system. And, here as well, there's issues with pay,
Well, absolutely no one on earth should try to follow the American example of healthcare. It is out there on its own. No other country is even in their right frame of mind would even contemplate following the American route. And neither should we. But that is, I fear, exactly where we are being taken. Yeah, Naveed, I've got to go, but thanks for that. By the way, on the subject of the NHS, because they're still striking. And the government's response to this is just incredible. There are plans now to recruit thousands of foreign doctors being drawn up by ministers in a bid to break NHS strikes. Did you read that? Rather than give medics who risked their lives to help us during the pandemic a pay rise so they can keep up with the inflation that the Tories caused a great deal of, with their failed Brexit and their lack of will to rein in the profiteering of the fuel companies, the medics that we banged our pots together for a couple of weeks while they worked 12-hour shifts and got sick in PPE that we paid for, but they didn't work. Rather than give those people some love, the government is spending about the same amount that it would have cost to stop the strikes to break the strikes.
Oh, fabulous.
The Health Secretary, Steve Barclay, has ordered officials to investigate the potential for hiring huge numbers of temporary doctors in the coming months to limit the damage caused by walkouts. Or, in other words, to limit the damage caused by the government's attitude. The government is going to be looking for a country that has got a lot of doctors that aren't doing much. You know, a country like... I've got no idea. Steve Barclay, the actual Health Secretary, is planning to ask the General Medical Council to fast-track the process for registering doctors to work in the UK with the aim that they could begin work in the new year. He's dubbed the plan the Ronald Reagan Project, in reference to the former US president's 1981 decision to hire thousands of air traffic controllers to end a strike. And it worked. And then he sacked the strikers.
What?
Yeah. But the government said it's not going to do that because the NHS is one of their top priorities.
Under my leadership, the government's priorities are your priorities.
Yeah, sure. Keep saying that and we'll believe it. A Whitehall source said that Steve Barclay is attracted to the idea of looking to see if foreign doctors could help limit the impact of the strike. He says there are two ways they could help. First, they could improve levels of cover on strike days. Secondly, they could limit the ability of striking doctors to make up lost earnings through overtime. Oh, my God, these are the people that are running this country. He said, obviously, it would be expensive to hire large numbers of foreign doctors, but the strikes are expensive too, and they are letting down patients. No, you are letting down patients. And this regime's answer to a long-term problem, recruiting and retaining medics, is to temporarily replace them so that their working conditions stay poor, which is why it's difficult to recruit and retain them in the first place. There's a hole in my bucket, dear Liza, dear Liza. Barclay is understood to be drawing up a formal proposal. Most of the doctors are expected to come from India. Does India not need doctors?
No.
Apparently not. And apparently, huge numbers of them are eagerly waiting for the chance to come in as strike breakers for a short while, to work alongside the same British doctors whose strike they are breaking. And then presumably, once they've served their purpose, they'll be invited to get out of our country. Coming over here. Unless unrestricted immigration from India is part of that elusive trade deal, and the regime just isn't telling us about it. I can't believe it. Who are these people? 0345 6060 973. Oh, here's information about bees. One hard-working honeybee produces 1/12 of a teaspoon in its entire lifetime, which can last from 36 days in peak summer to 3 to 4 months in the winter. This equates to 12 honeybees producing a single teaspoon of honey. Blimey. Well, we appreciate your efforts.
Thank you.
So yummy.
This is LBC with Nick Abbott. Call 0345 6060 973. Tweet at LBC. Text 84850.
Come on, we're running late.
0345 6060 973. Shaftesbury in Dorset. Hello, Alex.
Hello, Nick.
Alex.
How are you, sir?
I am great, mate.
Yeah, I do appreciate you this time of night. you do really, make me chuckle.
Well, you've got to have a laugh, ain't you?
Well, I suppose, in that sense, yeah.
Yeah.
But the reason why I phone up is, well, I listen to you most weekends, and one thing I find difficult to understand is that Rishi, you call him Fishy, I just call him a fraud. He has a very difficult way of understanding maths, and he wants mathematics to be implemented until people are 18.
Yeah.
But he doesn't actually understand the mathematics of what has gone on in the last 3 years. Because
he doesn't understand inflation as a concept. He doesn't get that at all.
Yeah.
Or he's pretending not to get it. He knows it full well. He knows it fine. He's just pretending he doesn't and hoping that you don't understand it either.
Well, true, and I do understand that. And what I don't like is that he's treating people like we're idiots.
Yeah.
Like we're really, really simple creatures. Simple, like bugs.
Yes, the reason that he's doing that is because all the evidence points to that being true. I mean, if you are poor, it seems unlikely that voting Conservative will do you good, and yet they do.
Well, it won't. I grew up, Nick, in a household. My late dad, God, he bless his soul, and whatever you do with that stuff, but he died in front of me when 26 years ago, and he was a staunch Conservative. He was a Conservative councillor in Bath. Bum, bum, bum. Yeah? My God, my dad must have turned over in his grave 86 times, 89 times, 90, 120. Bum, bum, bum. And the Conservative Party, now, they aren't that. They are racists. And that is the simple thing.
Well,
they are racist.
They do say things that are that are more acceptable coming from people who are of a minority race. Yeah, and I think that's why they've chosen certain individuals to do certain jobs, because it's difficult to throw an accusation of being racist at somebody who's from whose family is from India, for instance. So, yeah, I think that they are manipulating us and the people involved, actually. I think they're being used, but they appear to be delighted to be used. But, you're probably right. Alex, got to go, but thanks, mate. 0345 6060 973. Suggestions for the Labour Party slogan? Better ones than "Let's get Britain's future back," which is... just abysmal. Nathan says, "I'm not Corbyn." Simon says, "Doing our best." I think that's copyright Bodger Johnson, isn't it?
Yeah. Wait.
Leave him alone. He's doing his best. Nobody says that about Fishy Sunak, by the way, about Tetchy Sunak. He's just not a likeable person. I mean, he tries. God, such an eager bunny, isn't he? Bouncing up and down, trying to get our attention, trying to come across as believable, or cute, or I don't know exactly what it is he's going for. But he is none of the above. Nobody has ever said about him, "Leave him alone, he's doing his best." Martin says, "Your priorities are our priorities. If you get them in the right order, you get extra points." Well, that is true. If you get them in the right order, you get extra points.
If you get it in order, you get extra points.
Extra points for getting it in order.
If you get it in order, you get extra points.
Yeah, I'm not going to play that whole thing now. Maybe another date. Carl says, "Britain back on track." Well, it isn't now, so that wouldn't be an appropriate slogan for now. Or "Get Britain back on track." How about that? Oh, I think we found a winner. Get Britain back on track. But then that's like an instruction for the audience. So that doesn't really work either. let's get Britain back on track. How about that? Let's get Britain back on track. You like that?
Yeah, it's pretty good.
All right, get Keir Starmer on the phone right now. I mean it. He's not picking up? Missing out big time, Keir Starmer. I could save that whole conference for you. Wandsworth. Hello, Chris. Chris? Is there anybody out there? No, too late. Let's have Gateshead. Robert.
Hello?
Yes, sir.
Hello, Nick. Nice to talk to you again.
Robert.
You were on about being inside the room.
Yes.
We do know that 10% of the Tory backbenchers and MPs used to work for Goldman Sachs.
10%?
10% or more used to work for Goldman Sachs. Being inside the room.
Yeah.
Do we not believe that the people who are in Tory government now don't talk to their mates or their former mates in Goldman Sachs to tell them what the government's doing?
Well, I very much doubt that 10% of backbenchers used to work for Goldman Sachs. I also don't think that Goldman Sachs need any help. They're making so much money they can hardly count. But it does occur to me that could be one of the reasons why they're so desperately keen to stay in power, is because if you are a betting person, then it is easier to bet on something you know is going to happen. Yeah, regardless of who it is that you put that bet with. But thanks for that, Robert. Russ says, give Labour a go. Oh, these are suggestions about something that's better than the dismal slogan that they've gone with, which is let's get Britain's future back. I'd say that's the worst political slogan I've ever read in my entire life. I cannot believe that went through enough people for it to be sat on either the lectern that they're going to be speaking behind or the background that they're going to be speaking in front of. That's the slogan they went with, the Labour Party, for their upcoming conference, let's get Britain's future back. I mean, the amount of people that must have read that and thought, yeah, that's it, great, thumbs up from me. It must have been dozens of people. From the person that came up with it, for a start, who's a numpty, I don't care who they are, that's a stupid slogan, to all of the stupid people who read that slogan and thought, great, let's get Britain's future back. Terrible. So I've got people who are suggesting something better than that, all of which are better than that, but I don't think are better than the one that I just came up with. What was it again? Yeah, that memorable phrase that I just came up with. Let's get Britain back, or let's get Britain back on track. Something like that. I hope you're writing this stuff down, Keir Starmer. Russ text, give Labour a go. Yeah, why not? What could possibly go wrong? How about that one? What could possibly go wrong? It's our turn. Labour to lead. No. Labour has the lead. No. Let Labour lead. No. Labour to embrace Britain. Well, that just sounds creepy. George says, slogan for the Tories, flux capacitors for all. Let's get back to the future. It's not the Tories we need a slogan for, George. Hugh texts, for the common good. Well, yeah, that's decent. It's a bit old-fashioned. I mean, that's like old-fashioned politics, that is. That is when politicians used to be serious. You know, like serious people. People of stature. Like Gordon Brown, for instance. People like him. For the common good. Paul says, building a fairer Britain for all. Yeah, boring. Labour, your voice, your future. Meh. Putting people first always? No. But putting people first has a certain ring to it. I mean, written down, that looks all right. PPF. Investing in our communities together. Too long. A stronger NHS, a stronger nation. No, too specific. Quality education, quality future. See above. Green jobs, green future. Too specific. Working towards a united kingdom. No. And fair wages, brighter tomorrows. No. Sorry, Paul, that's it's a no from me. And Emma texts, best of a bad lot. Wow. Let's keep that in reserve, shall we? Liverpool, Raj.
Hi there. Hi, Nick. So, first time I've called in, but I've been listening for a while. So, I'm a junior doctor. And
a junior doctor? Enemy
Yes.
of the people?
Yeah, exactly. I mean, not only has the government now spent more money covering for the junior doctor strikes than
it would have cost to give them the money that they were asking for, yes.
Yeah. And not only are they trying to bring in foreign doctors in order to try and somehow break the resolve and break the strike.
Where the hell do they think they're going to find lots of foreign doctors that aren't doing anything? I mean, how insane an idea is that?
Well, exactly. It's something that it's just a pie in the sky.
Yeah.
And also, they're also trying to basically use this opportunity. They've sort of imported this idea from the States where they basically use non-medically qualified staff to fill in gaps. So there is what if I told
Now, when you say gaps, do you mean that somebody goes to A&E with a gap and which needs filling?
Well, I mean that at the minute, right now, what if I told you there are people who don't have medical degrees or surgical training performing operations in theatre?
No, there aren't.
There are.
There are no people performing operations in theatre with no medical training. That cannot be true. What kind of procedures are you talking about?
So this is so there's this role called physician's associates, which is something which unfortunately we seem to have copied from the American system.
Physician's associate? What, like friends of the physician?
Well, yeah. I mean, their original name was physician's assistants, but now they've been relabeled to make them more palatable, I'm guessing.
Oh, my God.
But
well, what are they doing? What are they doing?
So essentially, they have a first degree. They do like a 2-year conversion course.
No, but I mean, what procedures are they doing?
They're doing things like, and this is all publicly available. I mean, you can see this on
brain
online,
surgery, heart surgery.
Brain surgery.
Yes.
Yes. So removing blood clots from people's brains.
Oh my God! You cannot be serious.
Absolutely, removing people's tonsils. This is the situation that we are now in.
Well, I'm never going to hospital again. I don't care how ill I am. They're going to have to. They're going to have to. I'd rather die. Right, I've got to go. What a note to end on, eh? I can't believe it. 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 Eh? I can't